Chicanos, how's it going, everybody? This is Chicano Ideas YouTube channel. Rudy Tecolo, aka Famous Wolf. This is me just telling who I am, what I like to think about. Check out what I talk about if you haven't. I'm just talking about how growing up with that Northern California attitude, that Northern California Chicano state of mind. Growing up as a kid, all I've ever seen was a lot of violence. Growing up in the streets of San Jose throughout the 90s, it was very hard because of the unsureness of not having a household, not having a family, not knowing what reality is, thinking that violence and chaos and drugs and all this scenery of the hood, the Varrio, is a normal way of life, and that's the only thing that you know how to pursue. That's the only way you know how to survive. Only the strong survive, and that's what you learn growing up in the Varrios. You either pursue that negativity or somehow you're strong enough to overcome it. You don't want to be influenced by that. Your soul overcomes that. But for me, I became a part of that as I gotten older, of being angry and seeing all the hostility and seeing that culture of, cholo and being in the barrio influenced me to grow up to have that state of mind. I remember just seeing all the fights that I would see my cousins get into. I used to think that was cool. I used to think, as I learned about violence is not a normal thing, of me seeing so much abuse that my mom took or women in my family took, or family fighting amongst each other, the men, and having egos and this street mentality. You learn that there's more than that. There's a life outside of that circle, out of this barrio, out of the streets. So when as I grew up and I seen this way of life of you know, of just man, it's just when I think about it, it's just surprising on how I was able to overcome some of these situations growing up, and it didn't overcome me to where I just stood down and never wanted more with myself. At times, I was just like, forget it. This is the way it is. This is how I'm going to move. This is how you survive. This is what I see. This is a part of the environment that I grew up on. So I remember, living in San Jose, having to grow up real rough and tough, and having having to be, a part of the environment, and either you were bred for that type of toughness. And so moving from as a kid getting older, it helped me understand that this is just a one circle of life. As you get older and you meet people who've never been to jail, who've never been arrested, who've never even been in the back of a cop car, who never even been put in handcuffs, who've never even been stopped for a parking ticket. It's very interesting. It's like, wow, I thought people going to jail was the normal. I thought that was a part of being a man, going to jail and, dealing with these type of scenery, this type of environment is the way you grow as a man. This is normal. But as, as I understand that, you gotta be able as an individual to somehow believe in yourself and overcome these situations. And it's up to you to somehow have to influence yourself. And because for me, I've never really learned anything from my family besides what not to do. And they weren't telling me don't do this, it was just by the scenery of growing up and learning that this is not the environment that is not normal. I've never was taught, you know, start a business, stay in school. This is the way you should think and survive in the world. It was just, hopefully you get older, you get a job, and man, you didn't get locked up. And luckily, you know what, if you finish high school, man, that's good. We're proud of you because, you know, within the family, barely anybody never finished high school. People barely work, maybe. And, it's just trying to just whatever we got a little bit of accomplishments, it's more than what our family did, so they're willing to accept that. There's no real path on, this is how you gotta overcome this struggle and reality of the environment that, we live on. So for me, as I gotten older and learned, I always felt like, there has to be more than this. What is the purpose of, living like this? Why do I have to live like this? Why do I have to see so much violence, so much negativity? Seeing my uncle before stab his wife, seeing, uh, the beating that my mom took, almost being thrown out of a car, seeing, all the, all my stepdad fighting and he gotten beat up pretty bad, seeing him get knocked out plenty of times, seeing my uncles fight with people, my cousins, and, just people in the barrio. That's just the normal way of life. That's how you survive. You never back down. You don't be no punk. The Chicanismo and the gang culture, it gets crossed. Being Chicano and being Cholo gets tied too much. It's two different, realities of, being Chicano. But other than that, that's just a thought that I had to share. Stay cool, Chicanos. Stay tuned.